And welcome back to the Joe Catenacci Show here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM, your top station here in southeastern North Carolina. And I'm very delighted to have on the phone with us and dialing in one of the most popular drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series. We are speaking with Matt DiBenedetto. He is originally from California, but you might know him as the number 21 Ford Mustang driver for Wood Brothers Racing. Matt, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Wonderful. And, this is morning radio here in North Carolina, and we normally talk about what's happening in society and what's talking about politics. But NASCAR is a huge part of what happens here in North Carolina, and that's why I wanted to get you on. You've had a lot of things happen in the last couple of weeks. If any listeners were tuned in to the Talladega race, I think they saw their hearts break as much as yours probably did. But you have been signed for next year, once more to drive the 21 car. Let's just go to that. How does it feel to know that you're going to have a top ride for next season?
Quite the relief, that's for sure. So it was a bit of a stressful process trying to figure out what my plans were for next year, if I was going to be able to stay with the team. And there's a lot of people involved in our organization, between the Wood brothers, the folks at Ford Performance, our alliance with Team Penske, all the Menards, Motorcraft, all our sponsors. So it took a lot of people coming together, and obviously, as you talked about a lot this year, 2020, and the challenges that have been thrown at us, it kind of delayed some of the process. But so glad, it was well worth the wait for sure to have the opportunity.
And we're looking here at your stats in the NASCAR Cup Series. We've got 6 top 5 finishes, 19 top 10s, and a very impressive stat now, 263 laps led. I do remember, I think it was back in Daytona, and then watching the NASCAR Open there during the All-Star race. How does it feel to be, in the Premier League of stock car racing and then actually be leading the field, which you've done now for hundreds of laps, both this season and last season?
Man, that's awesome. The cool part is my career path to get here is what makes me appreciate it so much more, because I've had to drive for smaller teams and kind of rise up through the ranks a little bit of an old school way. So drive for small underfunded teams and climb up that way. And it's taught me so much more by doing it that way. But yeah, coming here and driving for the 21 team, I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface. We just had 2 weeks in a row where we were contending for the win, coming down to the wire at Las Vegas and then at Talladega. So that just shows throughout the course of the year the strength of our team, how we've continued to grow and get better as a team together. So, man, it's cool. Hopefully we can close one out before this year's over. It's heartbreaking to come that darn close, but just glad everything worked out for next year. And then obviously looking forward to that, where we can go and pick up where we've left off and what we built on and go contend for wins and perform. Honestly, I think next year will be even a big step better than this year.
And I think what makes you very unique as a driver, and one reason that I definitely wanted to reach out, is you're someone that people who are, general NASCAR fans, even people who are new fans, they know who you are, they love your story, and they call you, as the hat suggests, the people's champ. So definitely on things like Reddit and Twitter and, through all of these different fan sites, the name DiBenedetto is, right up there. I don't know if when you started to become aware of this, when you could kind of see that you had different types of appreciation and different types of fans. But I actually have been speaking with a lot of different people that I know from my world who are more in, politics and living in DC and stuff. And a lot of them know your name and they know your journey. And a lot of people actually, every time you get up there and you're leading a lap, they feel like they're right there in the car with you. What is that like?
Man, it's been cool. So crazy over the past handful of years, the level of support that I've gained, and really it's not like I do anything crazy or have some tactic to get fans or anything. I just like sharing my experience, my path journey to get to where I'm at. It's definitely been out of the ordinary, how I've gone about it and how lucky, holy cow, how lucky I've been to get to where I am. That's an understatement, but just sharing that with everybody and with fans. And it's amazing how they've kind of embraced it. And, and not only embraced it, but they've been a part of it too. They've been, a huge impact on my career. That support that they give me, that I get from everybody, all the fans, it has literally made an impact on my career. When everyone's rallying behind me and pushing so hard for me to continue to have these opportunities, that fan support weighs into the decisions. Like, wow, this affects the sponsors and their decisions, on keeping me around. So that's a big impact. And then obviously it's big for the teams when you have everyone rallying behind me and pushing, keep Matt in the 21, and, seeing what we're doing, that we're just getting started, even with all the variables that this year threw at me. So it really makes you appreciate the fans for being a part of this.
Yeah, I remember the Wood Brothers tweet where they announced they were keeping there for next season. And at first they were like, "Look, everybody, we've got 8,000 likes," and then that like doubled instantly. So definitely is a big fan base there for Twitter. One thing you alluded to is obviously the pandemic, and that was tough for a lot of people. I've mentioned it on this program and others. My entire family is affected by NASCAR. Both my brother changing tires, my cousin doing chassis, my dad doing the fabrication, my uncle building motors. I mean, they're over there at your competitor, Hendrick. But man, to see the impact of the pandemic, and then not knowing if we were going to have races, and then with fans being restricted, what was that whole period like for you as a driver, knowing that, you're there to be in the car and win races, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on the sidelines like the rest of us?
Yeah, it's man, backing up, it is cool that your brother Oren changed tires for me when I was at 32 car. So great dude. But you have a racing family, so that's neat. But yeah, this year, man, it was swept out from underneath us when we just get started. I'm with new team, best opportunity of my life, all this and that. But we're a new group working together, and then boom, it's all done, and we go on a break for a while. And I'm like, well, man, this stinks. But then once we get back going, a lot of variables and things we've had to overcome. Like, okay, not only are we a new group working together, we also don't get to practice. We don't get any time at the track together. I can't go in the shop. I can't, build that camaraderie like I normally would. You just can't operate anything like normal. But looking at it from a broader perspective, there's a lot where it makes you just appreciative to be going and doing your job and racing and driving the race car. It makes you appreciate the fans so much, because it just feels empty without them at the racetrack. So if anything, I try and look at the positives of stuff. And 2020 has given a much greater appreciation for very, very basic things in life. And obviously, very appreciative on my side. I'm really dang lucky that those are the biggest problems I have to deal with is worrying about driving my race car and things. There are people that it's affected their businesses and everything they've worked for their entire lives. I've seen people that have dedicated their whole lives into, building a business, and then had everything, taken away from them or going under, and things that are really not fair. So I'm lucky to do what I do for a living, and to have my job, and to drive race cars for a living.
We're on here, the Big Talker FM in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're speaking with NASCAR Cup Series driver of the 21 Ford Mustang, Matt DiBenedetto. One question, Matt, that I have to ask. Originally a California boy, but you made the move to North Carolina some years ago. Tell us what are your favorite parts of North Carolina? That's something I think our listeners would appreciate, and they might be a little biased towards Wilmington, but I'm sure you've got some great choice places across the state.
Yeah, I just love it out here, actually. And even more of my family is moving from California out here. They're all kind of migrating this way. Just love it out here. Love the culture, the people. I mean, everyone's so friendly out here. It was a big change moving cross country. Where I'm from, though, in some aspects, there were some similarities. I'm from Grass Valley, California, so very, very small town in Northern California, outside the foothills of Sacramento. So very quiet. So actually moving to Hickory, North Carolina, where I live now, was actually a bigger town than where I used to be out there. So it's nice. I love so many parts out here. Wilmington is definitely beautiful. Where I'm at is cool because we're close to Boone and the mountains and stuff. So if I wanted to, go to the mountains, my wife and I want to take a trip, that's close. You got obviously the beach isn't terribly far. I have a lot of friends down in the Charlotte area. Mooresville is beautiful. So it's just, man, I don't know of a better place to live than North Carolina. It's my favorite. This is home for me.
Oh, yeah. That's the message we like to hear. And Joe, who's actually normally hosting the show, he's actually off because he is in the mountains. He's over there in Boone and Banner Elk having a good time. So Matt DiBenedetto, it's been great to have you on the radio. We've got 3 races left in the NASCAR season. Regular season's over, but, playoffs were made. Kind of preview the last 3 races for you. What are your strengths and, what are you looking forward to?
Actually, these last 3 races, there's a couple things that are great. We are really meshing as a team. We're more prepared now to win and contend up front. The more time you have to work together, especially with the situations here, we just keep getting better. So as you've seen, contending for wins, run up front, that's great. But these last 3 tracks are actually probably some of our best tracks on the whole circuit. Texas, we were running 4th the last race and got wiped out by a lap car actually, but we're really fast there, so that's a good track for us. Martinsville and Phoenix, probably a couple of our very best tracks of the entire year, so really looking forward to those. I love short track racing. That's what I grew up doing. Our 21 team is super good at those places, so I really feel like we have a heck of a shot. Would be great to close out the year with a win and cap off this crazy 2020 year with a win that this team deserves.
No doubt we'll be watching that. You can watch Matt on Sunday, NASCAR race coming up soon. Matt, thanks so much for taking the time here on Big Talker FM.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.